So the price increases for 2019-20 have now been announced, and the general annual meltdown amongst the fans has begun. But to be honest, I think there is a little bit of good reason for it, as one of the main promises that was made to us by the board when we moved to the London Stadium was, with the increased capacity, double basically what we had at Upton Park, it would always mean that they would have the provision for affordable family football. That was the thing. That was one of the main selling points to us when we moved, affordable family football. And for 3 years, I suppose we've had that. I mean, the £99 season tickets for kids was to be applauded, if I'm honest. And it really did mean that fathers and mums, out there, could take their kids, which for a lot of people I knew, including my own family, years and years ago, was one of the reasons where they had to give up their season tickets because they just couldn't afford it. It was just too expensive for a dad to take his kids to football because it was just extortionate amounts of money. So yeah, it really did open the door to a lot of extra people to come, which I thought was the whole point of us moving to the London Stadium, to allow our fan base to grow, to welcome the next generation of fans, yada yada yada. So to see that, especially the kids' prices have gone up by 50%, which I suppose when you look at it, I mean, if it's gone from £99 up by 50%, fine. It's, I suppose, for the lower tiers, lower bands, not as much. But for a band, one ticket, that's a lot of money. Some of them have really, really, really spiked. And again, just goes back to the whole, if you're a working family, that's a lot of extra money you've now suddenly got to find. It's not just, obviously, the season tickets, which I think the club failed to take into account, but it's the day. I mean, if you're not in London, which for most of the fans, we're not actually in London anymore, haven't been for a long time, and some fans are travelling for miles to come to games, which fine, is their own choice, but I don't think the board really care about that, if I'm honest. 'Cause, I mean, you've got to take into account travelling, and let's be honest, train fares are a joke. They're an absolute joke, so you've got to get to the stadium. And then if you've got kids especially, they want their food, they want their drink, they want the sweets and the popcorn. That's not cheap per game, especially if if you're doing that 2-3 times in a month. It can add up to hundreds of pounds for some, just to go to the games. So I think for a lot of us, we've had to now take into account that as well. It's not just the season ticket. I mean, fine, an extra £5 a month on my season ticket, probably fine. I could swallow that up. But the changing of the games, I mean, Saturday 3 PM kickoffs, we could probably count on one hand recently how many of those we've actually had at the London Stadium. It's always a Monday night or a Friday night or a Tuesday night or Sunday 4 o'clock, whatever. I mean, the changing of the games to suit Sky will wind me up for a long time. That's a whole other conversation, if I'm honest. But yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like we're moving away already from what the board promised us. They actually said, this would be a family game, be a family stadium, a family club, yada yada, and we just always seem to be pushing towards something else, which is never really going to be achievable at the moment with what we have. You can put up the season tickets. I mean, really, is that going to make any kind of difference? I don't think so. Not really. I mean, all these rumours of £25 million in the budget, that's not next level stuff, and just makes a mockery of even putting up the season tickets. And I mean, everyone knows how much we pay for the stadium. It's not a lot, really, for what we get. Everything's basically covered in that fee. We still keep quite a lot of the money from the food and the drinks that are sold, which, let's be honest, is a lot during match days. And then let's not even talk about the money we get from TV. It's hundreds of millions of pounds a year. So I don't see the benefit in hacking off fans by putting up the prices the way that they have, and especially the whole FAQs that they decided to post don't mention at all about why they're putting up the prices or the benefit or the reasoning, which just annoys us even more. So it's disappointing. I think the best way to put it is it's disappointing. It will just alienate fans even more. I mean, there's been a battle over the last couple of seasons to even encourage us to get used to London Stadium. I think we have, to an extent. I mean, for most people it will never be Upton Park, but it never was meant to be. And I don't know, I think it's just a step back, if I'm honest, and us against the board all over again, when after last season's massive spending and bringing Anderson. I thought we made a step forward. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, and we will see what happens as always.
So season ticket prices up by 11%. Not happy. Not gonna. I don't know anyone can actually say that they are happy about it, or not happy. I suppose no one's happy about it, but some people don't see the issue. For me, it's a huge issue. I'd seen Gio had tweeted about season ticket prices up by 11%, spending down by 75%, and that's exactly it, isn't it? You know, people can say that they are building something special. I disagree. Yes, this season has slowly started to progress, and I've seen better football, and I've liked that. But at the end of the day, we're still the same old West Ham getting beat to Cardiff, and for them to announce the fact the season tickets, and they haven't even mentioned the fact that they've gone up, and I think that's frustrating in itself. Justify it, come out and tell us why. But for them to announce it after losing to Cardiff on Saturday in such a bad way as well is shocking from the media department, but it's not surprising. But for me, although we have been slightly better this season, it's still not good enough. It's still not, you know, what we were promised when we moved to London Stadium. One of the only things that is true, or was true, about what they told us about our move was that it was going to be affordable football, and really it's not that affordable. My ticket's going to be £975 and I can't afford it. So there are tickets that probably still are affordable, but you know, I just don't understand. We've increased the capacity, so why do we need to increase the season ticket prices? Or if you've got to increase it, like 1 or 2%, perhaps in line with what people's wages may have gone up by, and that's if people's wages have gone up, because it's hard times at the moment. Some people have said that we are building something special with the likes of Fabianski and Rice, but in my mind, as people keep saying, we're West Ham, you know, we shouldn't expect to beat the teams like Cardiff and things, because we've always been the same West Ham. But if we are trying to progress, and that's why we moved, we've got to sort of change the mentality and actually think, no, we should be beating these teams. We should be. No one can ever say that everyone should beat every single team or we'll be top of the league. But you do have to have a certain level of expectation, and that's what we were promised. But if we have this expectation of, oh, well, you know, it's West Ham, we're up and down, we're not going to keep hold of the likes of Rice and Fabianski, because they'll be off, and I wouldn't blame them. So there has to come a time that we accept that we're challenging and we want European football, and we're going to keep hold of the players. Otherwise, we are going to be the same old West Ham, but instead we're paying a fortune for season tickets, people sitting up in the gods, and we've lost our home, and you can all tell me to shut up, but we have. And, well, I'm not happy about it. And it's, again, the way they've gone about it, and it's typical West Ham. Yes, they spent big last summer, but we had a terrible January transfer window, and, you know, it looks as though with the £25 million spend that's rumoured for the summer, that's not going to be that great. I know that we're talking about selling players and then, you know, we'll save money and wages, but a one-off amazing transfer window isn't good enough, because that's not what we were promised. So I think they need to actually start investing every single year, and maybe not 100 million, but 25 million in this day and age just isn't enough. So to put our prices up by up to 11% and to be dropping the spending by such a dramatic amount is just not acceptable.